Hi, Suzal. How are you?
Yeah, hi, hi. Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. We are here today from Building Bharat, and it is a pleasure to have you on board with us. So, uh, I
Thank you for having.
would you start by introducing yourself, please?
Yeah. So, hi everyone. This is Sujal the Fossil. Currently, I'm at pursuing my law degree. Currently, I'm at third year at my law school of Suva National Institute of Law, which is located in Bhubaneswar, Odisha. So, I am currently working as I'm currently in the intern under the office of Dr. Sambit Patra, who is the member of parliament from Puri parliamentary constituency, who is also the national spokesperson for BJP.
That is so cool. All right. Could you walk us through how you landed that internship? Because that is a big feat.
Yeah. So initially back in like May, I guess, sorry, March, I guess. So there was an event at IIT Kharagpur. It was Youth Parliament, Sansad, the Youth Parliament. I participated in that event, and while like going through the event, I actually got to know about Building Bharat, being a startup that works with policy research. So they introduced me the Building Bharat, the startup that we have initiated, and I was like happy to be a part of the startup because I also wanted to pursue public policy as my career. So after all that, I actually saw a post by Building Bharat that actually said that was actually regarding opportunities under members of parliament. I instantly signed up for that, and after a few days, I got a mail from Building Bharat, which actually showed me the path regarding an opportunity and to intern under Dr. Sambit Patra, our Puri member of parliament. So I instantly signed up, and they had lots of formalities like I have to give them my CV, then I have to submit them an issue brief, a short 500 words policy brief, then I have to submit all my research papers, all my research abstracts. It was quite of a lengthy process to fill the form itself. And so finally, after filling the form, I actually thought that, yeah, I might not have made it because since I was like in second year of my law college, and most of my major research papers weren't published because they were still pending at that time. They were pending approval at that time. So I thought I might have not made it. But after a few days, I got a mail from Honorable MP's office regarding schedule for our interview, which is like 2 to 4 days, with the difference of only 2 to 4 days. So I got pretty like comparatively a less amount of time to prepare for the interview. And since during that time my entrance were also going on, so somehow I like managed the interview. And after the interview, they almost took like a week to give me my final confirmation regarding whether I'm selected or not. But finally, after like a week, I got my offer letter. So that's how I actually landed the internship in the first place.
We can all relate to long forms and longer waiting periods. All right. Now that we know what your selection process was like, as you said, you were second year law student. What made your profile stand out?
So primarily, I actually had a research paper that I have also talked with my internship coordinator who was actually taking our interviews. So I actually had a very briefed out research papers on the works amendment bill, which was actually kind of the hot topic that was going around that time. So it was a 24-page, I guess, research paper that I have personally crafted for using in further like parliamentary debates, because since it was one of the hot topics, the likelihood of it being the main agenda of various parliamentary debates was very high. So I actually prepared a 24-page, very detailed research that actually involved both doctrinal research methodology and also my secondary research methodologies, where I usually use AI kind of to gather all the information. But in the doctrinal method, it actually suppose like there was an amendment made to section 3R of the Act. So just to define or just to prove the constitutionality of the amendment, I cited almost like 14 case laws that were sourced from SSC online just to prove a single amendment that was made. I also summarized the entire like 600 there was a 600-page committee report that was published by the JPC on works amendment, which included various opposition leaders, various ministries also. So I actually summarized the entire like various case laws. There are almost like I could remember 124 or 125 citations of case laws. So I think that might have stood out from other applicants, considering that I wasn't officially signed under any policy research unit, but still just for my future debates and whatever. So I had made a 24-page. I think that might have stood out of my application.
That is some extensive research. All right. So the next question is, what does a typical day look like at the parliamentary office?
Well, a typically day was never actually a routine that we used to follow because the work was pretty dynamic considering that I have to report to the Bhubaneswar office and uh, it involved talking and interacting with various citizens of the parliamentary constituency itself. But broadly considering my day-to-day work actually fell in the three categories. First of all, I had to like major of my days were like where I have to do background research for like honorable MPs. Suppose honorable MP is having a press conference or a press brief or something like media interactions or any type of parliamentary affairs. So my usual day revolves around researching, making background guides on the research, collecting data for creating the speech. Second, it was major. Second thing that I have spent most of my day working on was drafting policy briefs. There are various policy briefs. Suppose we have to draft speeches in regards to the bills that are being introduced in the parliament, and even to local issues where honorable MP had to speak on a like press conference
Yeah,
and
the
other
media
media
interactions.
interactions. Yeah. So, and the final task that we actually spent a little bit, comparatively little time on, that was the constituency related task where we actually had people coming from the Puri parliamentary constituency, understanding their various grievances, noting them down, and providing them kind of solution and referring them to the honorable MP just to give them a proper approach and solution. But also involved preparing local issues where we picked up various local issues while interacting with various members, like various citizens of the parliamentary constituency, and creating a summary to them and providing them to the honorable MP just so that they get a brief of all the issues that are currently in the locality. So that's pretty much how my internship went and how would a typical day of my internship would have looked like.
That is dynamic, and to be able to impact so many lives, that is just out of the world.
Yeah.
Uh, so anytime you felt overwhelmed, I mean, the press conferences, the media interactions, getting people to, sorting out their grievances and all. Anytime you felt, overwhelmed or something.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of instances where, I mean, you get a moment of happiness or joy when Honorable MP actually quotes something that you have written for him on a very like large level. On even some of like my research papers or some of my issue briefs have been used for official purposes. And while listening to the Honorable MP use one of your research materials or any type of quotes that you have given in the Parliament itself, like brings a moment of joy towards you. And also like while interacting with various people like various citizens of the Puri parliamentary constituency, I have actually helped some of like citizens who were there standing for like 1 to 2 hours waiting for their turn. So we usually me and we had another intern who was also reporting to the Bhubaneswar office. So we usually like moved around and asked what were their problem, just to give a summary of the entire problem, or just to make a summary of like if there are similar problems faced by 2 to 3 persons, grouping them out, talking with them, and creating an issue brief on exactly regarding what kind of like issue they are facing. And even some of the issues were resolved because like there were some issues with the Puri parliamentary constituency that were resolved
Yeah.
because we had some input and we had gathered enough information from the local people.
Again, impacting so many lives. Uh, it will always mind boggle me ki how people just with research, with reports are able to help out so many other people.
It's like all up to data driven. I mean, data words won't speak much as data speaks.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. All right. So the next question is for students aspiring to get into political consulting, what would you recommend? What would be the roadmap for them?
I mean, assuming that a student who has just passed his 12th, completed or have completed his matriculation, I would recommend students to participate more in parliamentary debates or going for Lok Sabhas, youth Lok Sabhas, or model United Nations or MUNs. Because once you start going that, you will not only improve your debating style, it will not only improve your personality, but the main impact that will have on your life is it will improve the quality of research that you're producing. Like for example, when I started debating, I have started my first Indian committee, which was a All India Political Party made. I mean, the data which I used to structure out my speech and the data I have recently used to structure out some of my speeches in the Delhi University Youth Parliament are like you can see the difference between how I am citing the sources, how I am trying to set a narrative around the room. I mean, youth parliaments are one of the like greatest thing you can do to if you want to actually pursue political consulting. Second of all, start applying for internships. Don't always think that my CV isn't good enough. I haven't done any certifications. I haven't won any awards. Don't have any research papers. Because like if you start trying at some point, you will realize that yeah, I have this mistake because of which I'm not getting selected. And once you start start learning about your own mistakes, you will start improving them. And once you start improving them, there is no going back. I mean, if you have been rejected from one internship, you might land your fourth internship. Like continue applying to internships, to various political consulting firms. I mean, at some point you will get an internship offer, and finally you can kickstart your political consulting career.
All right. So you mentioned that you had a very strong research paper which helped you get the internship. How do students find that data? How do students cite it? You told us you had around 124 citations, if I'm not wrong. 124 citations, which is truly impressive. And how do a student like me, who has absolutely no idea where to start, how do a student like me, how do I get into it?
So usually, suppose we'll be talking about the work amendment itself. So if I am someone who has no idea of what work amendment bill is, first of all, if you have no idea about something, I would recommend starting with some YouTube videos. You can watch YouTube videos irrespective of who is the owner of the channel, or which type of narrative they're trying to spread. Just jot down the points to give a brief idea of what exactly the issue is. Then after you get what exactly the issue is, you can start splitting them into different parts. Like first of all, suppose work amendment. If I don't know what is the history of works bill, or what is works, then how can I exactly know what to write? So first of all, you have to be sure about a background. You have to create a background guide that will actually like you can use for understanding what exactly the core issues is, or what led to the issue itself. So first of all, you have to create a proper structure. That first of all goes like your background guide is what present if it is the issue that is currently being held up. Then you can approach solutions, and after you have approached solutions, you can also create a different like section where you are talking, like having your talking pointers, or in everything that is going on around. Like some more, suppose our honorable LOP has made an allegation, how to counter that. Like that can be categorized into secondary form of research. But usually, while starting, if someone is starting their research papers, I would always recommend first of all getting a brief idea of entirety of what exactly the issue is, then creating a proper structure of how exactly do you want your research paper to be, or what exactly will be the flow of your research paper. Then starting out with your primary research. First of all, in primary research, I would always recommend going for government websites like Press Trust of India, PIB, or any ministry official reports, or any parliamentary reports that have been published in the parliamentary website itself, or even parliamentary questions and answers can be served as form of primary research. Then you can move to secondary sources like gathering news information, like reading out through various news articles that have been published. And you can even use like some of the like secondary sources like Twitter, yeah, Instagram to get your like brief idea of what exactly people are talking about, and how exactly this issue affects on the ground. So that's exactly how like you would like to structure your entire research paper.
All right. And apart from the citations and all, the public sentiment that you spoke about, how did you research that? Specifically on Instagram or Twitter, or how do you just figure out the ratios or the eternity of the public sentiment?
Yeah. So that is exactly what we call narrative mapping. So in narrative mapping, what our usually flow of work is that we go to Twitter. Suppose a bill has been presented by the Bharatiya Janata Party, then definitely there will be some comments from leading mainstream leaders like Gaurav Gagoi ji, Mahua Moitra ji, and every other leading opposition leaders. Even we have various official pages of opposition parties that actually do a brief analysis of how exactly these lives will be affected. And also you can refer to media citations, like you can even refer to the media debates that usually go on around, where you will see various like national spokesperson or spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party, INC, clashing out on each other regarding how the issue exactly will affect the natural sentiments or the sentiments of the citizen itself. So that can be one form of like doing your secondary research, where you actually map out the entire narratives, what exactly the sentiments are on the ground. So that's exactly how you would do that.
That was impressive. And for every report to be able to figure out the public sentiment or the citations, everything, that is a very lengthy process. That seems very lengthy.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so is there any AI or any other website, just like you told us, PIB and all, any other website or any other AI that would help us out with it?
Now, personally, while throughout the internship, I have used AI. AI is like I would like to categorize AI into two categories. First of all, I would like to use the Chat GPT and the Google AI Gemini to rephrase my words or rephrase any paragraph I would want. But I would strictly like to stay away from Chat GPT Gemini for research purposes unless you have the pro version. For research purposes, if you want to actually go for secondary research purposes, then I would recommend going for the Perplexity because Perplexity actually cites the sources along with his answers. But if you give the same prompt to Chat GPT and Perplexity will give you a very conclusive answer along with the exact sources. So you don't have to go for various prompt engineering methods in order to get the exact citations and sources. So I would recommend like using Perplexity and especially the research model of Perplexity for getting a very detailed secondary research. And for primary research, I would always recommend doing a bit of like manually going through all the research publication. If you can go for keyword search, it is a research methodology where you use the set specific keywords just to get the entire list of publications. Or you can even refer to like MOSPI, the Ministry of Statistics, for any report, financial report, state report. You can like use the keyword search methodology in order to get various reports, and that's how you will get your sources.
So that is your structure, right? You figure out with, you start with the primary research, adding on to it the public sentiment, adding on to it the secondary research, right? All
Yeah.
right, all right. That would help me out, to be very honest. That would help me out in the future. All right. So the next question is, uh, how do you ensure that the data you find out, uh, is credible and could be linked to whatever you want to, just like you said, keyword research, and you mentioned the parliamentary debates and the conversations of the parliament. How do you have get access to all of them collectively, basically?
So there is actually, collectively speaking, you can collectively gather secondary sources, but for primary sources, you would have to manually go through each website. For example, I have to make an issue brief on inflation in India. So if you have time, I would recommend first of all going to the like Parliament library or the Lok Sabha library that is freely accessible to anyone. You can go to the question and answer session and you can just type the keyword inflation and you will get various questions, official parliamentary questions, starred questions list, where you can browse through the questions, some of the questions that have inflation written as one of the primary keywords. You can browse through that. Second of all, you can go to PIB, PTI, or you can just type in inflation government reports, GOV reports, and you will get an entire list of all the government reports or RBI publications that have the keyword inflation in it because of the search engine optimization that the government does. So that is
Yeah.
one method of like getting sources or getting exact citations or exact data that you need for your topic. Then somehow you have to definitely work a bit harder in going through all those research papers. I mean, RBI reports are usually 200 to 600 pages. Committee reports are usually thousands of pages. Then definitely you can use the find in page also feature to get directly to the keyword that you are searching for. And to ensure proper citation, I would all this is something that I have actually learned from our honorable spokesperson and Rajya Sabha member of Parliament, Sudhanshu Trivedi ji. Whenever in his debate, he usually cites the exact data, exact quote, the year of publication, even sometimes including the proper paragraph number. So that is one method that I have actually talked with my internship coordinator in order to ensure that the data is not only credible but also verifiable. By if the office wants to verify some data, they can just go to the footnote that I have footnoted or the citation that I have given, link to the exact report and with the page number, paragraph number cited already. So that is one way you can like ensure that the work you are submitting is actually very credible. And most of the time, I would recommend to rely on primary sources instead of going for secondary sources. Because, for example, there were various research papers that showed 26% inflation in 2024-2025, but however, the RBI report cited very like the data cited by RBI was very different because they have different parameters and various sample spaces they use to analyze and create data. For example, if the government uses 1,000 people to get in data, a research paper might use 4,000 people or might use even 10 people to gather a data. Their data might be correct, but it might be irrelevant in compared to the government data because government has to provide credible data because any lapse in data provided by the government can be used against them. So
Yeah.
that is one reason how you can like improve your citations, ensure that the data you are submitting is actually credible.
All right. So, the last question for today. Uh, what is something you would, if you could go back, you would advise yourself?
Uh, yeah. So first of all, I would like to advise myself to stop being lazy. That was something that actually held back me a lot. If I were to submit 4 tasks within a week, I would usually take a bit longer. I would like to wait till past midnight just to start working. That was kind of a bit of lazy of me to start or delay my work further. But that will be one recommend I would recommend myself to not be too lazy. Second of all, this is something that I actually learned from my internship coordinator to maintain a personal diary or a journal diary where you are where you like jot down any of your ideas. Suppose suppose we are taking up on the inflation topic. If you have like a counter argument that you have randomly suits to your brain or randomly comes to your brain, you can always refer to the book and can write it down so that you don't always forget something like, oh, I had this point but I have now forgotten what was that point. So if you write something, like it will be permanently stored in the diary, and whenever you have free time you can refer back to those ideas, and in order to make that you can like do something to make that ideas bring into life, or you can add more data points to prove your idea. And some if like idea is good enough, it can be like applicable to your parliamentary constituency. And that is something actually my internship coordinator has done. He had an idea of doing a paper or research paper upon a specific subject, and it was actually very helpful to someone like.
All right. That is a good suggestion. I mean, I had a couple of points I wanted to ask you, but during the meet, I forgot about them. I I just wrote them down. I wrote them down, and in the middle of things, I asked you those points. So that is a very good suggestion, to be very honest.
That was
Anything
actually
else?
something I picked up, yeah, after my internship. Like, my internship is almost about to be completed. My internship was supposed to be completed by 15th August, but since some like data points were required and some research work was required, so my internship was extended till 30th of August. So yeah, that I mean it was pretty late for me to pick up this hobby, like pick up this act of noting down. But yeah, this is something I would recommend to everyone, like to jot down any of the ideas that you have, because you can even like nobody is like sorted. Everyone has a brain and everyone has thousands of ideas that they eventually forget if they don't note them down, or if they don't put actual effort into bringing those ideas into life. So that's something I would definitely suggest anyone.
All right. Anything else you would like to add in regard to anything? Something we spoke about in the podcast, or something we did not speak about? Anything?
Yeah, I would like to add to the AI point. So if sometime you are facing like you have, suppose while going for the youth parliament debate at IIT Kharagpur, I had like 7 to 8 community reports that I had to complete within a week, and definitely there was a report of the JPC Joint Parliamentary Committee that was 7,000 pages. And as a person who is currently a student, I have to go to college and then do some college assignments, and then I have to pick any time slot out of my day in order to complete the research. So I would recommend using LM. If there is a AI called Google LM. So that
Google
is actually
LM.
very Google LM. Yeah. So I actually can't remember the exact name of the AI, but it was something Google LM. So it actually helps a lot in compiling various reports. You can even use you can use 7 to 8 reports at a time, and it will give a summary of the data that you are using. Sorry, it is Notebook LM. Yeah, I remember. It was Google Notebook LM. Yeah. So it is actually very helpful where you can like give your own sources in order to give result. Because if you have like ever like in Chat GPT, if you are asking for any data, it will first refer to the secondary sources rather than going for the specific government data that you want. But if I
Mhm.
want to know about inflation specifically from the RBI report, then in Notebook LM, what you can do is you can give the entire report, download and submit the entire report itself, and any form of data that the AI will provide will be specifically from the reports or the websites or the web pages that you have submitted. So that is something like that might help a lot of people while going through thousands of pages of research papers and research reports that have been published by the project.
All right, that was a good suggestion. I would be sure to note it down. Uh, all right. So I guess that brings us to the end of the session. Uh, Thank you for joining, Suzal. Thank you
Thank you for
for
having
taking
me.
out your valuable time to guide us through it.
Yeah, as
Like,
the parliamentary session is finally over, so I actually had a day to myself in order to like reorganize my life. So yeah, it was great talking to you, and thanks to Building Bharat. I mean, without Building Bharat, I might not be sitting here talking to you. So yeah, thanks to Building Bharat, and it is a great initiative. I do appreciate what they have done for me, and I will be forever be thankful to Building Bharat, because this internship was something that will definitely kickstart my career in public policy.